Hello, and welcome to another edition of Sik'ar Reviews. And today I'm going to be bringing you this. Now, there may be no band on this. And I actually have asked the blender Felix why there's no band on this. And I have another one with no band on this at a different size, and I'll also be reviewing that one. So, don't worry, I'll see if I can get the answer. So, anyways, this is a Cuban Special Blend, the CSB. This is an Ecuador Connecticut wrapper. There are two versions of this. This has the Ecuador Connecticut wrapper, filled with Jamastran, Honduran binder, and long filler. I believe this is the Torero 6x52. There's also a 6x54, but this doesn't look like a 54. According to Felix's site, this is the first company to do a box press on almost 99% of their cigars. The CSBs are one of their few that is not box pressed. Other than that, not much information on the CSB. Might have more in the future. But a little damage to the wrapper there. One thing I do want to point out, I don't know if you can see it very well here. But this wrapper is fairly yellow. This is a brand new wrapper, and you can hardly see that on there. And this dark one is what the CSB came in, which shows that he sells it already pre-aged pretty much in the cellophane. That's pretty cool. I did not look up any pricing on this. I usually try not to deal with pricing on this channel. So, and even then, even though it's not supposed to be box pressed, you can see right there that there's even somewhat of a box press on this. So, without any further ado, I'm going to get into smoking this. I'm really looking forward to this one. You saw this, if you saw the Something Special review, which was the first of the reviews of the Felix Assouline cigars, I loved it. It had a few issues, but I loved it. This has had 2 more days of rest. Maybe got rid of some of the, shipment lag. Does feel kind of oily. Very nice looking wrapper. I actually like that. It's a semi-firm cigar. It's not exactly squishy, but it's not hard either. I've had hard cigars. This is not hard. Very nice barnyard hay and oat smell coming off the wrapper. And kind of a sweet oat coming off the foot. The other CSB Connecticut I got is a 6x60. Good draw. A little pepper and spice is about all I'm picking up in flavor. I want to say there's something else there, but it just doesn't want to take center stage. It's off in the wings just a little bit and in the shadows. It's there and it wants to say something, but I'm just not picking it up right now. And possibly that pepper will mellow out. We'll see. Seems the pepper is more prominent with the retro hail. Closest I could say is kind of a caramel type flavor. It's about the best that I could do. Caramel and pepper together. I am kind of really hoping that pepper wears off, but we'll see. Yeah, mostly a kind of caramelish flavor. Just a hint of caramel. Pepper seems to have been dissipated quite a bit here. I'm going to have to get back to you on the halfway point and let you know how this is progressing. Sorry about my flashing clock. We had a power outage last night. I didn't even realize it was going behind me. Anyways, see you at the halfway point, and we'll continue this. Hello, welcome to the halfway point of this CSB by Felix Assouline. It's a Cuban special blend. The pepper's totally gone that I was experiencing in the first third. The flavors are they're very mild at this point. Still has a bit of that kind of caramel flavor, but it's very faint. There's some good aged tobacco flavor in here too, but again, particularly mild. It is a nice cigar. I did look up the price. As of the date of this video, they're going for a little over $5 a cigar, which isn't too bad. I still didn't fix my clock. Good smoke output still. Flawless burn. If there's something I don't like about this cigar, it's the fact that there's not a lot of different flavors. But it's still a very good cigar. Just less complication in the flavors. So you're kind of looking at something that's almost one-dimensional in flavor, but that flavor is pretty decent. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get to the final third of this and see how it continues, and I'll let you know the progress. But to this point in the first third, it's a little below average, but it's actually very good. So at this point, I would still give a recommendation to give it a try, especially at the price point. Who knows, you might absolutely love it. To me, At this point, only the first third. It's a semi-forgettable cigar. Well, I'll see you in the final third, and I'll give you my final conclusion on whether this cigar is good, bad, so-so, where it sits. We'll find out. So, see you shortly. Hello, and welcome back to the final third of the CSB. So, it's gotten very interesting. But first, let me show you the bad. That won't actually affect my smoke. It's just ugly. In fact, it really doesn't matter. If you're a cigar smoker and you think that a cracked wrapper like that is horrible, unless it's pouring smoke out, it really isn't all that bad. Yeah, it's ugly. Yeah, you'll get a few leaf pieces that don't burn proper. But, no big deal. I've had this happen on many cigars. It's just a fact. When you've smoked as many as I have over the last 3 years, roughly 2 a day, that's about 2,000 cigars in the last 3 years. So I've probably had about maybe 30 that have done this over that time. So it's still a rare occurrence. And even for this blend, I bet you it's a rare occurrence. I'm sure that that's the case. And it seems to be an over-humidification problem, if anything. Because what happens when it's over-humidified is that when the cigar heats up, it starts kind of cooking the moisture that's inside the cigar. And as it does, part of the cigar swells. And when it swells, it cracks the leaf. And this hasn't even swelled all that bad. It's a thin outer leaf, thin wrapper out there. So if it's over humidified, it's probably going to crack. It's better than tunneling or anything like that. Now, getting on to the good. The first part of this starts out very, very much like many of the finer cigars out there. Very Cuban-esque. Stays quite mild. As I said, it had only one kind of flavor, the caramel. It had a little pepper to begin with, but that caramel flavor lasted. And to me, I'm not a big fan of mild, so I wasn't too keen on that. But if you're a fan of Padron, you're a fan of Liga, those are fairly mild smokes. The Banker, and a lot of the finer cigars just are very mild cigars. A lot of Cuban cigars are mild cigars. So if you're a fan of Cubans, again, you're dealing with mild cigars. In the final third here, and this is what I really like, is that it's picked up in flavor. It started nice and smooth and mellow. Almost a non-existent cigar. As you notice at the halfway point, I said to you all that to me, I was finding this as forgettable. Forget the forgettable part. Right now, I'm getting the slight hints of cocoa with some woodsy notes. A little bit of pepper and spice. But a lot of flavor with a fantastic finish. The retro hail is not as nice right now. So in other words, I just got an answer on why there was no ban. It's a prototype. So he says they aren't CSBs. Interesting. They're prototypes I placed in there for product feedback. Okay, that's interesting. So, I suppose I've been reviewing this as a CSB the whole time, and it's not a CSB. So, this is now going to just be prototype 1, I guess. It's very interesting, very well aged. Um, uh, wow, I'm stoked that I've gotten to try a prototype. I figured that this was a CSB. Ah, wow. Well, I'm glad that Felix popped online while I was doing this review to let me know. Otherwise, I would have given this a odd review. So, if you've watched this whole thing, please keep in mind that this is a prototype. And I could see this easily becoming part of, a decent line. I don't know what I'd do differently. I'm loving the final third, though. So, the first part, Cuban-esque and kind of Padronish, high-end, mild. Second half, kind of mid-end flavor bomb. I'm going to have to check that. Okay, so you notice I wasn't exactly lax on it. It is getting a bit of a tunnel there, so I'm going to go ahead and fix this before it does turn into a tunnel. See, that's one of the things why I like to knock the ash off, especially if I notice that there's beginning to be some type of draw issue of some sort. You can fix this before it becomes a tunnel, and if it becomes a tunnel, then you got problems because it's going to go out, and then you're going to have to relight, and then there'll be different flavors that you don't want. I'm not going to consider that all too bad. As I said, this was probably over humidified a bit, which is surprising for shipping times and everything. So that should fix it. Wow. Yeah, and that fixed it. As I said, wonderful flavors, and I'm not letting this rest too much. I haven't gotten the feeling that this cigar is a rester, which is something that I kind of dislike, but I do like too. So far, I've noticed that in both the Felix's cigars that I've tried. This prototype here and the something special. Neither one really wanted a chance to rest, and that could be humidification. Usually, you can kind of almost tell while smoking whether it's a quick smoke or a slow smoke. It just when your rates of puff are. Some people say, "Oh, I only puff once every 30 seconds." Yeah, that works if you have a cigar that wants to be puffed every 30 seconds. I've had some that don't care if you puff every minute, and I have some that you have to puff every 10 seconds. It really changes based on cigar. So, I guess you can forget all the information I gave you on this. What type of wrapper and binder and long filler, the size, the price. Wow. I almost feel bad about this video because I didn't know what I was getting into. I thought I had 4 CSBs, all different vitola sizes and wrappers. Instead, it's a prototype, and wow. I'm glad I got a chance to try it. So, this is going to be an awkward review, and it's a long review, too. Anyways, I've really enjoyed this cigar. Thank you, Felix, for giving me a chance to try a prototype. I love the flavors, so and although I wasn't so happy with the beginning, this is the way I look at it. You get this mild ho-hum, and then you get the package, and it's almost like you hit Christmas. You just, it's like the year goes by and bam. Wonderful. So I actually like when a cigar does that. It just does a 360, becomes something totally different. And it's what I call a tale of two cigars. And when you can have to me, two cigars in one, where it starts as one flavor set and becomes a second flavor set, I really enjoy that. In fact, to don't denote the change, if this was purposeful, I do something like a slightly different wrapper on the first half and then another wrapper on the second half, so that you know the change is there. But at the same time, that's not necessary either, because once it creeps in on you, that's still awesome. So thank you again, and I would give this a recommendation since it's not on the market yet. Do keep a lookout for it. I'm going to post Felix's website down below. And with that said, please add and subscribe, leave questions, comments, feedback, suggestions. I would say if you have tried this, but I guess unless you're Felix or one of the people who works for Felix Assouline Cigars, who's actually tried this prototype, comments aren't really on your opinions of this aren't valid on this one, I guess. So with that said, any comments you do leave, just remember, keep it nice is all I ask, and enjoy every puff.